coming in
I
fast
hope
and
so too.
sweet.
We are
What are we
now
up to
just
now?
$64 away from 36,000. So if somebody wants to go and donate $50 and then somebody go and donate $15, we hit it. It's easy. I know there's people here that can do that. You don't need the names. Tasha, you don't need the names.
X-Plane appears to be having a little difficulty loading up all this New York weather here, so I apologize for the drop in FPS.
64-bit. And it was, if you do need to know though, it was Zach Osborne. He's the guy that won it.
Only for the hat. No, the hat is worth way more than $10. But if you get me over 36,000, I might take it off again for you. Just saying. All right, so let's see. We can't really see where we're going here, but New York is directly ahead. We're over New Jersey right now.
Are you going to make it in time? You have 8 minutes.
I'm certainly going to try, but apparently I've picked up a headwind.
Ace Rimmer says in the chat he disagreed with almost everything. And it wasn't an interview, first of all. And sure, you may not know everything, but that's why I wanted to talk about it. That's fine. That was the whole point, is to spark discussion. Absolutely fine to disagree with everything he said. But it's an interesting discussion, don't you think? I mean, there's a few things there, obviously, I would disagree with, like my videos are awful. But I think it's an interesting discussion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's good that they've actually had the chance to think about that, because it means, you know, they do care about the future of this lovely passion that we have. And, you know, where are we going to go from here? What can we do to make it better? Hypnotize still banned. I don't know what happened with that. I'm so sorry about that. Oh my god, that was hilarious though. I'm not even gonna lie.
How are you doing over there, Ben?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm streaming. The Airline2Sim channel is now streaming, so...
Okay, can you give us put the watch link in the chat there, and Nova Wing's going to go.
Alright, beautiful.
Thank you, Original Carp. Much appreciated. Gosh, my throat. My wife will be happy if I say nothing. Or
yeah.
Once again, while we're closing out this stream, this is a 24-hour live stream for raising money for 3 charities called Flight Angels 2016. The 3 charities are Over the Wall, Serious Fun Network, and Vision of Flight. You can find out more about these charities, and I really urge you to, at flight-angels.com. You can donate at flight-angels.com/donate. If you don't want to donate, but you do want to get something and help us out, you can go to turbulentdesign.co.uk. They have an Angwin scenery, and all the money from that comes to us. Aerosoft are running a sale this weekend as well. If you go and buy one of the sale items, then the profits come to us. Iris Simulations are also running a sale, 50% off. And if you buy anything in that sale, 25% of what they make comes to us. So very many, many ways to donate to this great cause. So I please urge you. I know there's a lot of people here enjoying streams, enjoying the conversation, who have not donated. And I'm not trying to guilt you, but I kind of am. Just head on over. Just give us $2. If everybody here just did that, we'd hit some targets. We'd start moving again. We want to try to break through 40,000 by the end of the stream. And to that effect, in the next stream, the Airline2Sim one, we are going to be doing a few auctions. Try to get the money up. If we break 40,000, that would be phenomenal. The last time we did one of these, we raised 15,000. So even hitting 36 is a phenomenal thing. But let's try and hit 40. We've got a few hours to go. And I think we stand a good chance.
Alrighty, and we are now up to date, guys. So for everybody who is following along on the stream, please refresh your stream, and you will be able to see Airline2Sim beginning his journey on his leg today.
Right. If you're watching on Belgio's page, obviously you won't see it when fresh, but if you head over to flight-angels.com, and refresh there, you'll see the Airline2Sim stream that's about to start over there. Thanks once again to Matthias from Aerosoft. That was a great discussion. Very much enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
It was illuminating.
And over to you, Belgio, to sign off and hand over.
All right. So thank you all for watching me. As always, this is Belgio. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen, feel free to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to donate. It's still going to take me a little bit to get down to New York. I am on initial approach, but given the weather, it's going to take us a little longer. So I'm going to hand the reins over. I'm not going to tie up any more time. I just wanted to thank you all. Remember, you are the real flight angels. Thanks so much for watching me. I will be in the background. Ciao.
All right. Thank you, Bel.
Over to you.
Beautiful. All right. So here we go. Airline2Sim style. Welcome to Stockholm Arlanda Airport. We're in the cargo section at the moment with the PMDG Boeing 777F, which is a beautiful machine. So we've got everything ready. We've got the FMC programmed, the departure's in, the fuel's on board. We've got a load of IKEA furniture in the back that we're taking over to Finland, and we're just going to do a couple of last little bits and bobs before we taxi off, and there we go. Flight time is about 50 minutes, so with a bit of luck we should get to Helsinki within our allotted time, but we'll wait and see how we get on, guys. Am I actually live on the Flight Angels site yet, guys? This is just someone.
You should be.
Yes, you are. You are live on the Flight Angels playlist on the site. So
all right. Beautiful. All right. Good stuff. Cool. All right. Well, let's give you a quick view of where we're going to go. Here is Europe, and as you can see, the UK off to the left-hand side. There's Scandinavia to the top. We are right up here and pretty far north, really. So Stockholm is just here, and then we're going to take a quick hop here over the sea, and then we're going to fly down into Helsinki. This is there's a little ferry apparently that goes does this in real life, and cruise ships do this little trip. But one aeroplane that does it particularly fast is the 777F, which we're going to be using today. Let's have a quick look at the ground layout and everything else, because it's always nice to know where we are on the airport and where we're going to be taxiing to. So we're actually down here at the bottom end of this runway 01 left, so we're at the cargo section down here. We're going to taxi along uniform, then we're going to turn right. We're going to take the last right all the way up Yankee, and then round to Yankee 10 to take off on runway 19 right. And as you can see on the chart, there's these three little circles here. Now what this means is these are called hotspots. And normally when the crews are preparing for the taxi out, they would have a look at these little circles and just double check. And what this means is there's a danger if you're not paying attention. You could actually taxi out onto the active runway, and that would be very bad. Not a problem today because it's nice weather, but it could be a problem if it was foggy. So that's something that we want to just be aware of as we taxi out. And then the departure turns us left and then takes us out towards the Nortel VOR. And a bit of a funky departure out of Stockholm. The city is very close into the airport, so they do a bit of a funky noise abatement procedure, which means climbing up to 3,000 at a fairly low speed, but you'll see that as we do it. Then we're going to come down to Helsinki. There's the ground layout. Let's have a quick look at the star. The arrival, we're going to come in from this point here called Lakut, and then we're going to take a right turn at Vibep. And then the arrival, everything starts at this point here called Gedlo. And again, quite a high, what they call the platform altitude. This is the point at which the approach begins. And again, that's a noise thing because the Scandinavian airports are very, very noise sensitive. So we're going to start the arrival at 3,300 feet here at Dipmo, and then come down the hill, and we're going to land. And the minimums, we need to see the runway by 370 feet. Otherwise, we'll go around. 04 right, we're landing on. And in a 777 at this weight, we should be off probably 2/3 of the way down, and then a right turn, and we're actually going to follow this green line here around to the cargo section. So there you go. That's enough chit-chat. It's time to get going. So let's hop in the aeroplane, and let's get going. So here we are then.
Ben, before you start, I'm sorry to interrupt. A bit of housekeeping. You don't have any mods, and we're going to need some. So
okay,
can we get the moderator team, if you can post real quick? And I'll identify 2 or 3 of them. We can just mod them really quick, and then on you go. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay, man. Don't worry.
There's Midian, English, please. just posted.
Okay, just bear me 1 sec, guys.
Pitbull, obviously, is a mod.
Okay, hang on.
I'm sorry. I know this
No,
is
it's
a
okay.
distraction, but it's...
No, it's all right, don't we? Hang on. Okay, Pitbull's a mod. Who else do we need?
Midian. No, Pitbull's not a mod yet. Oh, yes, she is. Yeah, he is.
Okay, and Midian.
I think that will do for now.
Is that okay?
Those two and Gus. Yeah,
all
that'll
right.
be good. Carry on. Thank you.
All right, guys. No worries. It's okay. It's good. All right, so we're in the 777. We've pretty much done everything. All we need to do is just run the before takeoff check, the before taxi checklist. So we don't need any ITS today. It's a nice warm day, 21 degrees. Press the recall. That just shows us that nothing has broken on the aeroplane while we're starting the engines. We've checked the flight controls. That's to make sure that the flight controls are going to take us up and down and left and right, because it has happened before. An Airbus A320 took off and they'd wired the controls the wrong way round. And that's a quick check just to make sure it doesn't happen. Ground equipment, just making sure that the pushback man isn't still wandering around. We're not going to slice his head off with an engine or anything like that. So there you go. We're all good. We're going to throw the taxi light on and we're going to get going. 777, don't need a lot of power. We're pretty light. So the first thing we'll do is just push the power up a little bit, tap the brakes, make sure the brakes work, which is good. We don't want to try and turn until we've got a little bit of forward motion, because it puts a lot of stress on the gear if you do that. So there you go, taxiing out, and we're going to go past the famous Stockholm roundabouts. That's the plan. So this is Orbix Stockholm. Nice scenery. It's got all the famous Orbix things, including the moving people and the guys throwing the baggage in the back and everything else. Nice 3D grass. It's a really nice rendition of the airport. So if you remember back to when we talked about the chart, the three little circles, which were what they call the hotspots. So these are the points that we need to be careful of. Again, today it's not a problem. Beautiful sunshine today. But if it was foggy, it'd be quite easy at this point to go straight on and end up on the runway. Okay, so let's hang it right here. So if you remember back to our taxi brief, we said we're going to taxi all the way along to the end of this taxiway. So now we're out away from the terminal area. There's not much, there's certainly fewer things to bump into out here. So we can put the pedal to the metal a little bit, probably about 30 knots, something like that. Remember, if we go too fast, 777 is quite a clever aeroplane. And any exceedances in the speed and other things will be logged by the aeroplane. And at the end of the day, an engineer will plug a little laptop in, and all of the data will be recorded. So it will tell tales on us and report back home to mother that we busted the taxi speed. So I don't want to get in any trouble for that. So we're going to keep it around 30 knots down to the end of this taxiway. So next thing that will happen is when we get to the holding point, we're going to do a quick thing called the takeoff review. Now this is essentially just a quick check to make sure that we've set everything properly. Aeroplanes have been lost in the past because pilots haven't set the flaps properly, or they haven't set the trim, or they've set things up wrong, so the aeroplane hasn't done what they've expected it to do when they take off. And normally that situation's salvageable, and certainly here there's not a lot to bump into. It's a nice day, but you can imagine if you're taking off somewhere with mountains or fog or bad weather, that could be a big problem. So we need to make sure that we've just set everything. So we'll do a quick takeoff review before we go and just make sure that we've got everything set. So coming up towards the end of the taxiway now. Quite a nice long runway. We're not particularly heavy. It's a really short flight. We've only got 18 tons of fuel on. Very, very light for a 777. This is the F is obviously the kind of long range version as well. So this is a bit like maybe putting you know, $3 worth of petrol in your car. It's not a lot. Okay, so bring it off the power a little bit, and we're going to just bring it up. We want it to roll to a halt. We don't want to hammer the brakes. In an airliner, it's all about passenger comfort and not throwing them around. So try and get a nice smooth brake. There you go. That's not too bad. And then takeoff review. So let's just throw the parking brake on for a second. So we want to make sure we've got the flap set to 5. The handle set to 5, we've got 5 indicated, and this 5 is what we've done the performance for. Are we going to go to the right runway? Yes, we are. 19 right. It's over there. V2 set, which is 161. We have Toga. In other words, the aeroplane is actually going to take off. LNAV and will follow its own pre-computed takeoff. 9,000, which is the altitude 80 to climb to. We have the correct SID program. We double-checked before we left. To trim, so the aeroplane is actually going to take off when we pull the nose back. We've got the transponder set, which is 3534, and that's on, and the takeoff review is complete. Final item is before takeoff checklist. Flap 5 is set. That is the before takeoff checklist complete. So let's turn the brakes off and let's line up. Different airlines do it different ways. Some airlines like you to have all the lights on before you go on the runway. Some of them like you to turn the lights on the runway as a reminder that you're cleared to take off, but we won't get bogged down in all that today. So, round on the runway we go. Line up in the 777 is get the yellow line in the middle of the window and then make the turn. So you actually go a little bit beyond the yellow line, and if you get it right, which I'm going to try and do for you today, then hopefully when you roll out, it's on the white line. There you go. That's not too bad. Okay, they call this a sanity check. Do we have the flaps? If we haven't got flaps, we're not going to fly. We do have the flaps. So the sanity check is complete. We put the power up. We hit the clock. We wait for the power to get to 50%. Then we call takeoff. We set the power. We got thrust ref, so that means the engines are producing the right power. And the power is set. 95.8 is the takeoff power that we computed that we're going to need to get in the air. Then we call 100 knots. When we get there, 100. And both the captain and the FO will have a look at their speed tape and make sure they match. We don't want them to say different things at this point because that would be bad. Here's V1. The point at which we're committed. Rotate is the point at which we pull the nose back. We don't snatch it back. It's a nice smooth rotation up towards the flight director. And we've got a positive climb, so we'll call the gear up. Okay, we're climbing away nicely. So, next thing that's going to happen is the climb power is going to come back. So there you go, we've got the climb power. And you'll see the flight director moves over to the left-hand side, which means we need to make this left turn. Just going to lower the nose, keep it on the flight director. And you'll notice that the speed, the bug speed is 182 knots. That's V2 plus 21 knots, and it's a couple of knots below the flap 5 speed. Now that's not a problem, but we just need to make sure we don't pull the nose back too much. We don't want to sink too far below that. So let's keep it going round. Let's keep it going round. Okay, you see the speed has now pegged itself to 205 knots. So we lower the nose, and as the speed passes through that 5, we can select the flaps up to 1. So we lower the nose, let the airspeed build. Okay, a couple of people are saying the engine sound is a bit low. Give me a sec, guys. And I'm just going to give you some more... actually, P3D is really pretty quiet there, so here you go. How's that? Is that better? There you go. Okay, and we're through the flap 1 speed, so flaps up. Let's get the autopilot in. Let's see the after takeoff checks. So, landing gear is up, and the flaps are up. Okay, speed's now going to bug to 250 knots. And away we go. Alright, so sometimes ATC might ask you to expedite a climb. So in other words, they want to get you up there as quickly as possible. So there might be another aeroplane in front of us, maybe crossing. So the way that you actually climb very quickly in the 777 is just to wind the speed back. So let's wind the speed back to min clean and watch that nose going up. We should be able to climb up at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet a minute, this kind of weight. There you go. 3,000, 4,000. It's a huge amount of performance in this aeroplane. Alright, we're through transition, so let's press standard. Let's be a good boy, let's keep the heading bug lined up with where we're going. So there's the NTL. Do you remember the Nortel VOR that we looked at on the departure chart? That's straight ahead. Alright, so air traffic control quite happy now. We've expedited the climb, so we can go back now to the aeroplane's own computed climb, which is 250 knots. And in a moment at 10,000 feet, you'll see the speed jump from 250 knots all the way up to probably about 320, I think. So let's have a quick turn off of the lights, because we don't need any of those anymore. Let's have a quick look outside.
We did ping the guys behind the scenes to tally all the totals from the various sources and try to add them onto the counter. We should be well over $36,000 now, I hope. Just waiting to see that. Thank you so much to those 3 winners. That was awesome on that impromptu auction. We'll do another one in a few minutes. If my fingers can take all the typing.
Okay, let me...
we didn't make it over 36?
We won't.
Let me just sort out the... Let me just... I'm just going to roll back the engine noise a little bit, not drown you guys out. There you go. That should be a little bit better now. It's certainly noisy outside. Okay, so while we're climbing up, I'm going to show you a little 777 trick. There's a bit of a misconception, really, that the Airbus A320 is the pinnacle of technology compared to the 777. But you have to remember that the 777 was actually designed after the A320, so technically the technology in a 777 is actually more modern. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things. A320, the 777 is quite clever in terms of the protections. So it has an overspeed protection, it has an underspeed protection. I'm going to give you a quick example of that now. So let's say I'm a particularly stupid pilot and I decide I'm going to rattle the speed up to 370 knots. What will happen is the aeroplane here is going to level out at 15,000 feet, or flight level 150, which is where we are now. And it's going to lower the nose. And the aeroplane knows that that red line, the dotted red line, which you can see down on the speed tape, it knows that's as fast as we can go. And with the auto throttle engaged, which is what we have, even though I've asked the aeroplane to do 370 knots, it ain't going to do it. It's just going to sit there and say, nope, no way. So what happens if I disconnect the auto throttle? So let's say I pull the push the button there, disconnect the auto throttle, and I firewall the throttles. What happens then? Okay, so we run into the red line. In a moment the aeroplane's going to start crying. It says overspeed, overspeed. What are you doing, you stupid pilot? So you can see a line has gone through the altitude. VNAV alt is now crossed out, and the aeroplane's now pitching the nose up to slow down. So the aeroplane's trying to get us out of the condition that we've put it in. So the dashed line or the yellow line through VNAV alt means, hey look, I'm not holding the altitude anymore because you're trying to kill us with the overspeed. So the aeroplane is trading the altitude to get the speed under control. There you go. So the aeroplane has fixed it. Very, very, very clever aeroplane. So let's give the speed control back to the aeroplane, and let's try and do the same thing. Slow speed condition. So let's get ourselves back down to 15,000 or flight level 150. Okay, let's try and slow ourselves down now. So how slow can we go? So let me pull the speed brake out. So the speed brake's coming out. And if we look outside, you're going to see the brakes up. There's the brakes up. And we're slowing down. Okay, so how are we doing on the speed? We were pretty fast. It's going to take us a little while to slow down. In fact, what I could do is I could put us in a little climb just to help out the situation. So here we go. So this is what not to do in a 777, but it just gives you a little idea. People think the Airbus is really clever when it comes to getting you out of stupid situations, but the 777 is just as clever. Alright, so that's working. So let's have a look at what we've got here. We've got the auto throttle engaged. I've rolled the speed back to 100 knots, and we're trying to climb up to 17,000 feet, 2,000 feet a minute. So the aeroplane now going through the minimum flap speed. So what's it going to do? Okay, let me roll off that vertical speed so we can go level again. And I'm just going to roll us out at 16,000 so that the aeroplane is not doing anything. Alright, so look what's happened. The other throttle's bringing the power up now, and it's now sitting on that that yellow line. So the aeroplane knows that if it goes below that yellow line, it's going to go too slow, and we're going to fall out the sky. So once again, the 777 has saved our bacon, and this these two marks here, this is the pitch limit. Above these are called the I think they're called the moustache because they look like two little moustaches. So if we pull the nose back, so if I disconnect the autopilot and pull back to this point, then we're going to go into the stall. Very clever aeroplane. So what happens if I do the same thing? What if I disconnect the auto throttle, pull the throttles back, and then try and slow us down? What does the aeroplane do then? So I've disconnected the auto throttle. Come on, slow down to 100 knots, aeroplane. Come on. And the aeroplane's it's not going to do it. It's not having any of it. It will not slow down below the yellow speed because it knows that's a low speed condition. And even though I've turned the auto throttle off, it's engaged it again, and it's now put the power back on. All right. What if I do that? This is called a hard disengage. All right. These two buttons here. So this is now completely turned off the auto throttle system. So the auto throttle is completely turned off with these two switches. This is called a hard disconnect. So now I've pulled the throttles back. We're at 16,000 feet. And now you can see that the auto throttle is now out of the picture. I've taken out the ability for the aeroplane to use the auto throttle to get us back out of this situation. Alright, so you can see the aeroplane is trying to help us out. It's saying airspeed low. It's saying auto throttle disconnect. You're a stupid man, you're a stupid pilot, you're trying to kill us here. So what are we going to do? Are we going to stall and we're going to fall out the sky? What's it going to do? Nope. Look what's happening to the altitude. So we've got VS, we've got the line through it. What the aeroplane is doing now, it's pitching the nose down to build the speed. Now eventually we're going to run out of altitude, so we're going to crash. But as you can see, the plane is trying to keep us in the air for as long as possible. That once we get to those red dashed lines, we're going to stall. So this is the low speed protection 777. If I hop outside, look at the angle. Look at our angle of attack. That's crazy. But the aeroplane is trying to save us from ourselves. Really, really clever. Really, really clever airplane. So people that think the Airbus is the pinnacle of genius in the aviation world, the 777, for all that it's keeps quiet about its talents, is a very, very clever airplane. All right, so let's bring the auto throttle back into play, and let's see the power of a 777 at work. Let's roll the speed back to min clean, which is about 229 knots, something like that. Let's see how quickly she can get us back up to where we want to go. So you see, she's just kind of struggling with this kind of low speed regime because we're just kind of on the limit of the buffer. But there you go, she's climbing through it now, and we're going up 1,300 feet a minute. It's pretty cool. Somebody in the back tightening all the IKEA Allen screws. Yeah. That's true. All right. So listen, we're going to do a giveaway. Frugal, are you there, my friend?
I am. We've been doing giveaways while you were flying, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Well, what
over $300 so far.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Huggins, thanks for the donation.
Beautiful. Cool. All right.
Current total is.
Sorry, mate. Go on, Frugal.
No, you're the consummate professional radio DJ. Current total is 36,273. We need more.
Beautiful.
We need more.
That is beautiful.
Get some more stuff in, and we will do a proper giveaway. There will be another auction, which I'll do very quietly while Ben is talking so wonderfully about this aircraft.
Okay. Shortly, well, something that we can do. Right at the end of the stream, obviously the 777 training program that we have, it's taught by a real 777 pilot, and this is not the place for me to chit chat and promote our stuff, hawk our stuff around.
Yes, it is. You're a sponsor.
Yeah, but we have a 777 program. It's taught by a real United pilot, a guy called Myron Ashcraft, who flew the 777 as a captain for about 12 years. A really interesting guy. Loads of tales to tell. Every airport you go to, there's a tale. Which is fun, and it's going to be out later on this year, and we can give away. Should we give away some? I know I'm kind of reluctant to give away something that doesn't exist yet, but we're giving away the 747, and that's not finished yet, and other things. So that's all right, I guess, Pete.
Yes, it is.
All right, cool. So let's give away. Why don't we give away maybe like 3 copies of the 777 training program? We'll do it at the end of the stream to the person who can who guesses the closest to my landing rate in Helsinki. Is that cool?
Perfect. The 3 closest ones to your landing rate.
Right. Okay. So whoopsie.
But let's get some donations in. We're not gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, we're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna do anything until there's okay. So let me just check this is connected, which it is. Beautiful. Okay, right, where are we? We've stopped at 25,000. That's because the stupid pilot has not pressed the button. While we're at this, I'm going to give you a quick lesson on VNAV and LNAV. Now, I know there are some guys who are watching this stream, and even some of the streamers who are not big fans of very automated airplanes and things like that. So let me give you a quick lesson for what it is on VNAV and LNAV. It's very simple. Imagine a kind of sat-nav in your aeroplane, or a kind of GPS like you have in your car. And it's very simple that through the autopilot you can either fly the aeroplane yourself, so you can tell it where you want it to go. So I could tell the aeroplane to fly on a heading of 070, just like you would in a little Cessna. And I can ask it to fly to 25,000 feet, which is where we're going, and that's what's happening now. Or I can say to the aeroplane, I want you to follow the track that we've got in the display here. So you can see that the aeroplane has a pre-programmed route all the way to Helsinki. And if I want, I can get the aeroplane to follow that route. And the way I do that is by pressing this button here, which is called LNAV. And like an obedient little robot, the aeroplane will follow this route, and it will go from Ebedu to Kuririp, Odessu, Lakut. And if you remember back to the chart program, which I've closed, so I can't open it again now. you'll remember that the arrival begins here, and we can actually have a look at the arrival in a little bit more detail now. So we go to the legs page to do this. We're going to dial down the range. There you go. So we're going to go to Ririt, Odesso, and Lakut. And you remember back to the chart that we showed you at the start of the stream. So we're going to go to Lakut and then Maron. We're going to make a right turn here at Vibep. At this point here called HK899. And then it all starts here at Dipmo. And this is the point at which we come down the runway. And you see this thing as ED in green. That means end of descent. The descent is going to finish, and hopefully the end of descent is where the runway is. So that's kind of what we want. One thing that's it's going to get kind of busy now because this is really, really short 7. So I need to do some things. First thing I need to do is set the nav radios, and we are going to hell. We are literally going to hell. Helsinki, HEL. Let's tune the VOR in the radio navigation page here. So I tune that in. And you can now see that the Helsinki VOR, we are going to hell. Hell is 133 miles away. So in 132 miles, we're going to be in Helsinki. A couple of other things I need to do is I need to set the auto brake for landing. Auto brake, very easy. It's what it says on the tin. When we land, the brake automatically apply. Higher the number I set here, the higher the braking action will be. So this is the equivalent of somebody stomping on the brake. So if I put it at max, we will stop in about 20 feet. Well, we won't stop in 20 feet, but max is a very, very effective, almost emergency. You don't really want to use that. Helsinki, nice long runway. I think 2 will do for us nicely. We also need to make sure that we know how fast we need to be when we land. And the 777, because it's a very clever airplane, will do that for us. So it's asking us to give it its gross weight. So if we tell the aeroplane how heavy we are, then it can work to fly to do that. Obviously, this is the 150.5. We're going to be a bit lighter when we land because we're going to use some fuel. On the progress page, have a quick look. You can see that we are now, well, one with, I mean, we're going to fuel getting a ripper, but it's near enough that no difference. So 12 points of rip, and we're going to use 1 tons of fuel, 1.3 tons of fuel to get to EFHK, which is Helsinki. So let's just bring that total down. So let's call it, for the sake of argument, let's call it 249.5 tons. And you can see it literally makes no difference at all to the landing speed. It made 1 knot of difference to the flap 20 and nothing at all to the 30. You actually find you need to change this number by quite a significant degree to make this number change. So we've now got the landing information. So we're going to land with flap 30, which is full flap in the 777, and we're going to land at 146 knots. So that is done. Okay, one thing remains is to put the minimums in for the landing. Now, if you remember back to the chart, the landing chart for the ILS runway, what did we say? 4 right for Helsinki. You remember the minimums was 370 feet. Now, the minimums is very long and boring and complicated topic, but essentially means that we need to have seen the runway and identify it and be sure that we can land. So by 370 feet, if we can't see the runway, if we haven't seen the runway, if we haven't seen some runway lights, and we've got no confidence that we're not landing in a McDonald's drive-through, then we need to go around. Now today, that isn't going to be a problem because it's a beautiful day, there's sunshine, and we'll see the airport from miles out. But we still set it, and it's still something that is called out in the aeroplane as a kind of matter of good practice. So, we've set the ref speed, we've set the baro minimums, we've set the auto brake. One quick last thing we do before we come down is we hit the recall, and then we're going to run the descent checklist. So the descent checklist just makes sure that we've got everything ready. We don't want to get near the runway when it's very, very busy and realize that we've forgotten to do something. So this is just making sure that we are ahead of the aeroplane. So recall's checked, notes are checked, auto brake is set, the landing data is done, and the approach briefing is complete. Well, we did have a bit of a briefing on the ground. We're going to land on runway 04 right, then we're going to go halfway down the runway, we're going to turn off, and we're going to taxi past the terminal, we're going to turn right to the cargo parking. The aeroplane is coming up with an FMC message. It's saying reset MCP altitude, so that's a reminder for us that we're going to come down soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in the role of finish ATC, and I'm going to tell us to descend now to, or descend when we're ready, to flight level 130. The other thing we need to do as well is just a quick check of the QNH when we're landing, the pressure when we're landing in Helsinki, and I'm going to find that now. Just suspend your belief, I only have one screen. So EF HK, and it's 1023. Alright, cool. So I'm going to pop that down there.
Oh, quick question, Ben.
Yeah, man.
How is the stream looking for you? Because we're having viewers saying that they're getting a little bit of buffering on their end.
They're getting a little bit of buffering, okay. It's running at a fairly high bitrate. I'm running at about 6 MPS. Is everyone getting buffering, or is that just a few people?
It appears to be just a few people.
Okay,
what I'm going to suggest, guys, refresh your stream, just hit your F5 and whatnot, and hopefully that'll take care of it. I refreshed mine, and it's coming in crystal clear again, so hopefully that'll sort it out.
Yeah, maybe I could have... the problem is I can restart the stream and run it at a lower bitrate, but obviously then that will create a new video, and everyone will have to go off and kind of do it. So, guys, just refresh it. We're going to be in Helsinki. We're literally going to be there. The way we find out is in the progress page down here, and we're going to be in Helsinki at 12:08. It's now 11:46, so 15-20 minutes we're going to be there. So bear with us, guys. If you can do that, that'd be cool. Thank you. Just before we head down, are there any quick questions that you want to ask? I'm not a 777 pilot, but I spent a long time with one, so if there's anything you want to know, I can try and answer your questions. A couple of things. Did we do everything? We left the seatbelt sign on, which is a little bit naughty. We want to usually turn that to auto when I was too busy trying to stall the aeroplane, but normally the seatbelt sign is turned on to auto when you get above 10,000 feet. But we're in the cargo aeroplane, and probably at this point, what you find is on the cargo airplanes, most of the crew tend to sit on the flight deck because the what they call the supernumerary area, which is behind the flight deck, there's not a lot to see out there. It's a bit stuffy, and it's not great, and there's not a lot of daylight either, so they tend to sit up front.
And I'm getting word from the chat that everything is looking good again. So
all right.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, just refresh. I'm running at probably a pretty high bitrate, so it depends what you're watching it on. I'm a kind of HD freak. I'm sorry about that, guys. That's my fault.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's an absolute good thing.
So Bal, you're a GA guy. Are you finding this interesting? Kind of learning about the big props, or are you kind of zoning out with some of this stuff?
I absolutely love anything having to do with aviation, even though my preference is either GA, helicopters, or military. I used to be in a VA. I actually used to run a VA, so yes, I do recall being in the big birds. Nothing as big as what you are flying, but it is fascinating to me to hear you go into so much detail, and yes, I am picking up a lot.
All right, cool. Somebody's saying, how does the auto seatbelt sign work? Okay, very simple. It puts the seatbelt on if we forget. Now, the big thing in an aeroplane, there are a couple of things that I've kind of learned from my real pilot team. We've got quite a few. We've got I'm just trying to think. We since I started Airline2Sim, which is kind of way back about 3 years ago, and I hardly knew any pilots at all. I knew one, and I probably now know about 20 that I kind of talk to, quite often. And I've got guys that fly the 757, the 767, the 747, the 777, the A320, the 787, the Dash 8, the ATR. So I kind of know a lot, and I've asked them a lot of really stupid questions over the years. So the big gotchas in aeroplane is not putting the seatbelt sign on, because that's really quite embarrassing. Because normally what would happen is the cabin crew would need to come and tell you that the seatbelt sign isn't on. And also the cabin crew use the seatbelt sign coming on. They know it comes on at 10,000 feet. So the cabin crew will know, usually experienced cabin crew will know how long it takes us to get from 10,000 feet down to the runway. And if that sign doesn't go on, then not only is it a little bit embarrassing for you, but it also kind of screws up the cabin crew service, because they don't have that kind of warning that we're at 10,000 feet. So we've got to make sure that we turn that on when we get to 10,000 feet. But the auto, that will turn it on at 10,000 feet automatically, and I'm going to leave it off, and at 10,000 we should hear a ding, and that is the seatbelt sign coming on. What will the 777 do when an engine is down? Will it maintain the stable balance? Yeah, it will. The 777 is an incredibly overpowered air. Well, it's not overpowered. The reason the engines are so big on a 777, and the engines are big, let's not be in any question about that. The engines are enormous, and the reason for that is that it needs to be able to get the aeroplane into the air when one engine has failed. So if we take off and a bird goes through the engine, the aeroplane needs to be able to take off successfully with one engine. So one engine can carry the entire weight of the aeroplane into the air. That's why the 777 has so much power. But it's a beautiful aeroplane.
What kind of a static thrust are we talking about per engine here?
Now that's a good question. I think that might be in the POS page. If we we go to the FMC. Hang on a minute. Let's go to, where's the index? Gee, come on, Ben. There you go. Let's go to init ref and index, and then ident. So these are the 1110 B1L2s. These are G10s. So somebody, I'm sure, is going to be able to figure out exactly what a G91-110BL. Someone will give us the thrust. I think somebody said to me, and I don't know whether this is true or not, that the 777 engine, you could actually fit the 737 fuselage inside the engine.
Wow.
Yeah. You can
amazing.
actually... 90k, says Travis. 90k. Thanks, man. My wife just randomly appeared and then vanished again. She's making spaghetti for tea tonight, which I'm kind of excited about. 110k, is that right? I think I think that's the engine rating, isn't it? On the that is the engine rate. So the G90 is the make of the and the 110 is the rated thrust of the engine at 110,000 pounds. There you go. That's a lot of thrust.
Absolutely.
In the thrust we trust, huh?
Yes, most definitely.
All right. We're coming down. Let's have a little think about what we're doing on the way down. So I'm going to dig out my little SOP list. So this is just a little cheat sheet that some of my pilots normally use when they're flying the aeroplane, just to make sure that they've done everything. So let's have a quick look. What are we got to do on the way down? We need to make sure we've got the departure and the arrival in. Well, we've got that set. We need to make sure that we've got the legs page. So this is the legs page here, and the legs is it's kind of funny word, really. Legs. What does legs mean? Well, legs is basically just the legs of the arrival. What does it look like? So you just got to make sure that there's nothing in there, that there's nothing missing, or nothing looks weird. And actually, everything here is pretty good. So we don't have any problems there. The navregs page we set. So that is setting up the HEL VOR, which we did a little bit earlier on. We set the VREF. We've got the auto brake, and that's about it. The chart we had a look at before. The terrain. There's really not an awful lot to bump into. I didn't turn the terrain on coming out of Stockholm, which maybe I should have done, but there's not a lot. There are lots of big mountains in Scandinavia, but this is a reasonably flat part of Scandinavia, to be honest. There's not a vast amount to bump into here. So terrain isn't really going to be an issue for this arrival. The weather is perfect. It's a beautiful day. There's a few clouds around. It's about 19 degrees. And then fuel. How much fuel have we got? So if we can't land here, this is the point now where we're going to start thinking, well, where could we go? Now, the alternate, I can't remember what I said. It's in the flight plan. It's somewhere else in Helsinki. There's another airfield in Helsinki somewhere. Have we got enough fuel to go to the alternate? That's what we would be thinking about at this point. But fortunately, in the flight sim world, we don't have to think about airports being closed and fogged in and all the rest of it. We generally can just land where we want. One of the engines can carry a 747 into the air. Is that true? One 777 engine can carry? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. But we'll wait and see.
Current total, 36,273.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's cool.
No, that's actually incorrect. We just raised another 200 stream on auction.
What?
Oh, beautiful.
So, and there are other donations as well. So wait and see. I'm waiting for the back end to update.
That's good. All right, so just one quick thing while we're in the legs page here. Now you can see that the aeroplane, not only will it carry us along the track, so knows where to go, so Lakut, Maron, Vipep. It's also got this thing on the right-hand side, which is what you call the vertical profile. So the aeroplane will carry us kind of along the ground and tell us where we want to go to get to the airport. But how do we actually get from the cruise level down to the airport? So if you can imagine, if you draw a line from where we come down to the airport, that's what you call the vertical profile. Imagine coming in a lift but a lift goes straight down. An aeroplane, you can't come straight down. You have to kind of come along at an angle, right? So the aeroplane is also figuring this out as well. So as we're flying along, the aeroplane is constantly making calculations as to whether we're on the path or not. And at the moment we are. So you can see the aeroplane is saying here, it's saying VNAV path, and we've got a couple of other indications to help us. If the aeroplane is saying VNAV path, it is on the path, and life is good. You can also see on the right hand side here as well, there's this little pink diamond. As long as this pink diamond is in the middle, the aeroplane's on the path and it's happy. This green thing here is called the green banana, and that's going to show us where we're going to level out. So at 8,000 feet, we're going to level off at this point here between Marob and VBEP. What I can do also is the FMC has some points in. So it says at Marom that we've got to be 7,000 or above. Let me pull the speed brake out. We're going to get a little bit high in the profile here because the airplane wants to slow down in preparation for the 10,000. So I'm going to delete this one. And give it a second. There you go. It recalculates the path. And then 899, 3,300 or above. So that's all good. Okay, so ATC now very kindly cleared us down to 5,000 feet. That is on a QNH, so we hit standard, and we're going to go to the airfield QNH, which is 1023. So I'm going to stow the speed brake. We're a little bit above the path. You see now how the VNAV path, you see the little pink diamond. We're 100 and something feet above the path, but the aeroplane is going to pitch itself and fix that, and that's all good. 777 struggles a little bit with the path and the speed sometimes. It's not unusual for it to get itself a bit bent out of shape. Don't think for a second that you can just leave this and look out the window, because the aeroplane very often can't really handle these things, and you've got to jump in and give it a bit of speed brake or slow it down or whatever. Don't think that you can just look out the window. You've got to manage all this. This is what you get paid for.
Okay, we have an updated total. Everybody sitting down? Yeah, there it is. $36,667.
Wow.
Wow.
That is really good, guys. That is really, really good.
Amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
All right, so the aeroplane's adding a little bit of power now because you saw it slow down. The 777 is notoriously bad at maintaining the speed. Now, when I say the 777, all aeroplanes are. The Airbus is no different. At the end of the day, it's just a machine, and what you'll see now is it will go through a cycle of adding power and reducing power. The real aeroplane does exactly this. So you can see now it's got itself a little bit slow. It wants to be at 240 knots. It's slowed back to 228, so it's adding some power. And now it goes, okay, all right, I'll put a little bit of power on. And then it goes, okay, that's enough power. So now it goes back to idle, and you will see this pattern will continue all the way down the approach. This is very typical of the 777. The real aeroplane does exactly this. PMDG absolutely nailed the behavior of the real aeroplane in doing this. We're through 10,000, so let's go throw the lights on. The runway turn-off lights. These are lights which kind of light up the either side of the runway, the kind of left and right side of the runway. If you're taxiing somewhere, if you're out in deepest, darkest Africa delivering some cargo and it's pitch black out on the taxiway, these are actually really useful. You don't really need them much in Europe and America, because generally the airports are reasonably well lit, but you often don't really need them in the day as well. It's kind of down to your preference. I'm going to throw them on because I think it's the more lights we have, the better, really. Okay, so let's have a look. How are we doing on this path then? So you can see now we're getting a little bit high. See how the pink diamond, so we are now a little bit high. I'm going to give it a little bit of speed brake. At this point in the game, we would now be getting headings from ATC. So ATC would be now giving us headings to the runway. So I'm going to jump in and be the role of Helsinki ATC. So box 222, or I'll do my comedy Finnish accent. Box 222, 155 on the heading. There you go. Forgive me.
That's awesome.
You like that?
Thank God. Thank God Matthias is not here.
Yeah, well, he's not Finnish. I think is he Dutch, or I don't think he's German.
Yes.
He actually sounds Dutch.
I think he's Dutch. Yeah.
And we have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
They're asking, what scenery add-ons are you using, or what mesh are you using?
Okay, the mesh is default P3D mesh. I'm using Orbix FTX Global with Open Line Class and Vectors. The weather's coming from Active Sky Next. I'm not using Active Sky 2016, controversially. I'm using the prepared tweak assistant called PTA, and I'm using a shader called Pedrag's shader mod, which gives you a bit of an X-Plane style kind of blue haze. It's not quite as nice as the X-Plane one, but it's still pretty nice.
It looks phenomenal to me.
Yeah, it does look nice. I'm using Rex for the sky textures, and I'm using... I don't use soft clouds. Everyone jumped into soft clouds. I find in P3D, I actually find that the hard clouds are better. You see, you get these nice kind of fluffy clouds. They generally look more like... You see these clouds in the foreground? I found with soft clouds you get more of these and fewer of the nice big fluffy ones, so I actually went back to the hard clouds. But hey, that's a matter of opinion, I suppose, isn't it? Really. All right, so
yeah, it's always a personal preference.
we're coming down into the final approach, so we need to concentrate now. So forgive me, guys, I can't really answer any more questions for a moment while we just get this aeroplane on the ground. So. What we need to do now is just think about getting ourselves down. So you can see the green banana here. We're going to level out at 5,000 feet, pretty much where we want to be. We need to be, the aeroplane says we need to be 3,300 feet A. Now that means 3,300 feet or above at this point here, HK 899. And that's exactly where we're going to be. We'll be at 5,000 feet, so we're happy. And on the profile, because remember the aeroplane is constantly calculating the profile from where we are down to the ground, and the aeroplane is happy that we're on the profile. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get us slow down a little bit. Now, the slowing the aeroplane down depends on how good you are and how brave you are. The earlier you slow down and get configured, the easier everything's going to be. If you leave it to speed is the enemy. In the 777, big aeroplane, takes a lot of slowing down. Speed is the enemy. If you don't get it slowed down, you're going to have a very, very, very uncomfortable time. So get it slowed down. Get everything done, and it all happens nice and slow. And that's the aim of the game here. That's really what we want to do. So I'm going to slow the speed brake. You have to constantly wind the speed brake in and out on the 777. It's a really, really slippy aeroplane. So, ATC have asked us to turn left now. Left or one Flajon to heading. Sorry.
Me with that.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, guys. I'm slightly delirious here. And what we're going to do now, you'll notice that I'm not using VNAV anymore. At this stage in the game, we don't really want to use the VNAV. And the reason we don't want to use the VNAV is because you've got to really think about what it's doing and what's set in the FMS. At this stage in the game, we want more direct control over the aeroplane. So I'm going to use VS 900 and we're in heading. So we're actually, although I'm not hand flying the aeroplane yet at this point, I'm actually flying the aeroplane through the autopilot. So I'm pretty much flying the aeroplane. Let's go to flap 5. And the 777, the profile is generally flap 1 and then flap 5, and then when we turn around into the airport, then we're going to go to flap, we're going to ask for the gear down, we're going to go straight to flap 20, and then use the rest of the flap just to get us slowed down. So, ATC, I'm not going to do the voice, left to 085, and you're cleared for the localizer runway 4 right, so there's the localizer. And we're also cleared for the ILS, so now we press approach, and the aeroplane will now turn us around onto the heading. One nice thing about the 777 is that it turns the heading back around for you. Not all aeroplanes do that. The 737, you've got to do it yourself, and it's easy to leave it. So remember, guys, the giveaway. We're going to give away a copy of the Airline2Sim 777 training course. I am not a 777 pilot, despite thinking I am sometimes. We do have a training course which is taught by a 37-year veteran United Airlines captain, Myron Ashcraft, and it's a whole video series showing you how to fly the 777 like an absolute pro. And it's going to be out later this year. Hopefully it'll be out in time for Christmas. I really hope it'll be out in time for Christmas. And you guys can win. We have 3 copies to give away. You have to guess my landing rate. So I've got the landing rate monitor. Let me just check that that is here, because it'd be a little bit embarrassing if that's... Yeah, okay, so that's good. That is connected. So if you can guess my landing rate, if you get it right, then we're looking for the for 3 people who get it as close as we can. It's going to take a little bit of working out. We're going to have to go back through the chat and see who's the closest, but we'll see. And if there's more than 3 people who are close, then when I get on the ground and figure out what we're going to do, we'll come up with a way to pick them. We might throw you in a hat or something, but we'll make it fair. Don't worry. All right, the next thing that's going to happen is the learning checklist. I'm going to throw that there as a reminder that we haven't done it yet. So we're basically now waiting for this point called dip mode. Now, if you remember back to the arrival chart, we had this thing called the platform altitude. Now, platform altitude is very simple. It's the point at which the aeroplane flies level before you intercept the glide slope. Now, the platform altitude is a good opportunity to get your speed sorted out, make sure that you've done everything that you need to do. I'm confident that we've done everything, he said. So what we're doing now is we're just waiting for the glide slope here. The glide slope will come down. GS, which is in white, will go out, and we will start making our way down to the runway. Gotcha here. As soon as we come down, the speed will start to build. So what we need to do is get the gear down. That gives us a bit of drag. I'm going to be a little bit naughty and just wind the speed back a little bit and then hit the flaps. Now, in the real aeroplane, the airlines get very, very angry with you when you wind the speed down without the flaps. But it's a little kind of real pilot trick, because what happens is as soon as you start extending the flaps, the aeroplane will speed up to compensate for the drag, and you don't really want it to do that. So very often in the real aeroplane, the guys will actually just wind the speed down very, very quickly before they pull the flaps down. So what we can see now is the aeroplane's coming down, and you can see, look at that speed. The aeroplane does not want to slow down. This is the bit where it can all go horribly wrong, because the aeroplane does not want to slow down on the final approach. Go around altitude here is going to be 3,000 feet, and the go around is it's pretty much off to the right hand side there, and what they call vectors. That's why you see that line is drawn off into infinity. So in other words, ATC would very quickly start giving you headings. Normally you want to go straight on. You don't really want to do much apart from go straight on in a go around. Most pilots, if there's no terrain, which there isn't here, they will ask to go straight on. The go around's incredibly busy time. It's the most balls up maneuver in aviation.
Oh, I do have a quick announcement. I just want to get in there before you come in on final approach. It's unfortunately a little bit of bad news. Just so you are all aware, the 8 p.m. Lukla special event flight has been canceled due to technical reasons. We're really sorry about that. If anyone has purchased this event and we have not yet contacted you, we will do so in the next day or so to refund your donation. Again, we're really sorry about that. We had to cancel the Lukla special event flight due to technical reasons. All right, we now take you back to your regularly scheduled landing.
Okay, somebody asked about, seemed a bit high to capture the glide slope. Mega Rocket, you're right. The reason they do that is for noise abatement. They want you, that level portion where you're flying level, you're going to make a lot of noise. And they actually want that as high and as far away as possible. So you're right. The platform altitude, 3,000 feet here, is really high. And if you notice, one kind of weird thing about this airport is the go-around altitude is 3,000 feet. That is lower than the platform altitude. So you go around to an altitude lower than the altitude at which you even begin the approach, which is kind of weird. So everything is set. We've done the landing checklist. We want to make sure at this point that we've got land 3, rollout and flare enunciated in front of us. So in other words, the aeroplane could, if we wanted to, land itself in this situation. But we're not going to do that because we haven't briefed for an auto land, and if an aeroplane taxis past the ILS array or something while we're doing an auto land, we could veer off the runway and it will end badly. And you can Google Singapore Airlines at Munich if you want a real-life example of that. So we're at 700 feet. I've got to bring out the autopilot before the minimums, which is 370. So I'm going to bring the autopilot out now, and we're going to get it down. So we're just going to follow the glide slope and the flight director for now. So the best advice all my pilots have given me is just follow the flight director. So just keep it coming down. And then when we get down to about 200 feet, we're going to transition to outside, and we're going to have a look out the window and just see what we're doing. So there you go. That's not looking too bad. So we're approaching minimums now, and it will say minimums, and I will say landing. I need to correct off to the right a little bit here, but we're on the glide. It's looking pretty nice. And now we're just going to ignore the PAPI, we're going to ignore the glide slope. All we really want to do now is get it on the touchdown zone. There's 2 big white marks there at the touchdown zone. So let's just bring it back, and we're down. There you go. Hit the reversers, keep it straight. Is it slowing down? This is the big thing now. Is the auto brakes working? You can have a look at that green arrow on the speed tape. You can see it's coming down now, 60, 70. So let's take the reversers out, and we're down. All right.
That is awesome.
So we tap the auto brakes. That brings the brakes out. What we don't want to do is stop on the runway. That makes everyone very angry. Aeroplanes behind us, ATC, everyone gets very angry about that. So we want to just keep rolling. But again, a bit of a gotcha is if you roll too fast, then you can get bent out of shape. So what I'm going to do is give us a nice view of the terminal. Let's come off here on the first right.
You have extra time, Ben.
Oh, okay. Am I running over? How long? How are we doing?
No, you have extra time.
I've got extra time. All right. No,
Yep.
no problem. So we're off the runway. So this is the hardest bit. Hardest bit of flying a 777 is this bit. This is where it can all go horribly wrong. So let's just slow ourselves down. Let's turn the landing lights off. Let's turn the turn-off lights off. Let's turn the strobe lights off. Let's turn the APU on, because remember, when the engines are shut down in a moment, we won't have any power. Let's bring the flaps in, and if it's not already stowed, let's stow the speed brake. Let's disarm the auto brake, and everything else can wait until we get to the gate. So let's get a little bit of power going, and we could admire the Helsinki scenery. This is Aerosoft Helsinki. It's a really nice scenery. It does have a few little glitches in P3D. If you run it in P3D, the lights are a little bit funky. So I think we're all hoping maybe one day Aerosoft might come back and have a look at the lights. So if Matthias comes back on the stream, maybe we can terrorize him into fixing the lights.
It looks gorgeous, though, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's a nice scenery. I'm not running any AI today. Reason for that is AI is difficult to control in the sim, as you know. If you've got Ultimate Traffic or World of AI, you can't really control it. It just taxis around randomly, sometimes takes off on odd runways, so it's often a bit of a pain, really. You'll notice I'm taxiing a little bit slower. That's because we're right next to the terminal now, so in the real world you would expect now there'd be lots of aeroplanes here, and there would be vans and cars and fuel trucks and everything else, and they are prone to driving out in front of you, so you want to keep things nice and slow when you're this side of the apron. That was my finger slipped on the throttles there. You see the aeroplane config flaps. It's because I very briefly pushed the throttles to takeoff power.
Wow, I am just in awe at this scenery. That is like the combination between that and Prepared. It just looks totally realistic.
Yeah, I mean, Prepared is it's interesting what Matthias was saying. Matthias, can any of us say the poor man's name correctly? Matthias. It was interesting what he was saying before about P3D. I was talking to Left Eris from Flight Sim Labs, and he said to me that P3D was the kind of FSX killer, and I didn't really agree with him at the time. I can't say I was entirely sure. The thing that made a big difference to my P3D was buying a 30 Hz monitor, and I don't really quite understand the technical side behind it, but my understanding is the frames get longer to render in 30 Hz. In 60 Hz, which most computer monitors are, the frames get half the time to render. In the 30 Hz monitor, they get twice as long to render, so you get fewer what they call long frames. So it tends to work a little bit better, but yeah, it's okay. I'm pretty happy with performance so far today. Right, how long have I got, by the way, Pete?
Pete is currently...
I'm here. I'm back.
Is he indisposed?
So the issue is...
I got ages yet, so it's not a problem. I can sit and talk about this airplane for hours if you want me to.
You will be. So to put everybody in. As I mentioned earlier, for those that didn't catch it, I've had a pretty busy schedule, obviously, with work and everything, and last night I pushed it a little bit too hard with my lack of sleep and became unwell. So I'm supposed to stream next, but I'm just not up to it. So David Bryce from Iris very kindly offered to stream, and guess what? His computer's having all sorts of issues.
Okay, so all right. Well, I could
to go live.
I could fire up something else if I could do a quick bit on the Dash 8 maybe.
Mr. Radio Man. Robert Randazzo is also due to turn up fairly soon.
All right. Well, this is quite opportune then if we're in the triple.
So I'm thinking... Yeah, Robert Randazzo is offline, you're right. I'm reading the chat where we have the streamer chat. So I'm thinking if Robert is going to log on any moment soon, Robert, if you're watching the stream now, Robert to the stage, please. Robert to the main stage. That would be kind of cool.
Curtain call for Mr. Randazzo.
There is to know about this aircraft, and we can certainly have a chat with Robert.
Can someone say his name correctly?
Matthias has offered to voice in as well. And yes,
excellent. That'd be really cool.
At this point, we are in a free-form stream session.
Yeah. You know what? That's cool. That's cool. Look.
Who won the landing pack? Who won the training pack first?
Okay, let's have we're going to leave it. Let me do the shutdown checks. Let me, because you know me, I'm a stickler for doing it properly. So let's do the shutdown checks and then we'll have a little look. So we stopped. I turned the taxi and the runway turn-off lights off before we turn onto the stand because you can blind the marshaller at night, and that's a really bad idea when he's giving you directions to get onto the stand. So now what we need to do is just make sure that everything is set for the shutdown flow. So the APU is running. We're not going to be plunged into darkness, so that's all good. So let's cut the fuel, and the engines will wind down. And then we can do the shutdown flow. So we're going to turn off the pumps. In the 777 we turn off the right pump last for some bizarre reason that only Boeing can answer. We're going to turn off the fuel pumps, and I'm going to turn off the ADIOU because we're not going to fly the 777 anywhere else. We can turn the beacons off now because the engines stop running and the seatbelt signs can come off. We're going to turn the transponder to off. And then, as you can see, the shutdown checklist is kind of populating itself, so the only thing that remains is the parking brake. So what I'm going to do is, what would be pretty normal at this point, is throw the chocks in, wheel chocks, and then we'll have a ground power cart as well. So let's connect that one, which is that one there. And then we look over our head and we can see we've got now two options of power. We select those on, we turn the APU off, and then I can now turn the parking brake off, which will just help to cool the brakes a little bit after that. Parking brake done, that is the shutdown checklist complete. And I can do all that. And then one last job before we do this is to disarm the doors. Obviously the doors are armed with a slide, and if anybody opens the slide, anybody opens the door, the slide will go off, and there'll be a big bang, and it'll be embarrassing.
Hence the cabin call of cabin crew arm slides.
Absolutely. Did you know in the cargo ones that that one of the crew has to do it? So if there's only two of them,
really?
normally the first officer is sent back to do the doors. Yeah, yeah.
All right, David has got his stream up.
Beautiful.
Go and check it out and make sure that he's not streaming Microsoft Word.
All right, that's cool.
No, the guy has 3 minutes. Yes, awesome.
So
I'm going to add that to the
want to
playlist.
know what was the final feet per minute there?
Okay, yeah. Okay, here we go. Are we ready? Drum roll, please. Minus 319 feet per minute. That was quite a firm landing, actually. It didn't feel that firm, did it? Minus 319. There you go.
Minus 319. I'm posting it in the chat right now.
All right.
So,
minus.
is the closest, people.
Okay. All right. So we're going to need to go back and have a little look. This is going to be quite a big job to go back through the chat and find it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Hold tight for a second. I'm going to add the Irish stream to the list. I'm so glad you got that sorted, David. And Oh, that. I want to be respectful and pronounce.
Shall I say my name one more time?
Yeah, please,
Yes,
please do, please do, Matthias. Please do.
Matthijs.
Matthias, are you? Because I think you're Dutch, but maybe you're not Dutch.
I'm Dutch, yeah.
You're Dutch. Yay! There
I'm
you go.
Dutch.
All right. Okay. Hence why you. I think there's something on your signature in the Aerosoft forums about your German, so you can kind of speak it but not write it too well, or vice versa. I can't remember what you said now.
Okay.
Basically, if I write it, people start to laugh quite loudly. So.
Okay. All right. I see. I understand.
David, if you could quickly mod the 3 people that just joined your stream, that would be awesome, and said something because they're mods. David's stream is now live.
Beautiful.
The playlist should have updated. The event page will take a minute more, but we can switch on over. Thank you so much for an amazing presentation. Did you spot the 3 who won yet?
I just need to go back and have a look. Stephen McRae has now people are posting minus 319.
Of course.
Jordan said I was close at minus 308. Okay, help us out, guys. And if you were close, then post it in. Don't do it if you didn't. It's a charity stream. Let's keep it in the spirit in which it's intended. So if you were close, help us out here, because otherwise it's going to take hours to go back through all of them. So come on, play fair, guys.
David, did you mod those 3 yet? Midian.
Yes, both been.
Okay, cool.
All 3 have been modded.
Fabulous. We'll be over in 1 second. Bear with us.
Okay. Minus 319. That's actually a pretty firm landing in a 777. It felt smoother than that, right? Was it just me?
According to the mod so far, we got potentially 1 Neil Braden.
Okay.
At 331 was very close. We need to identify somebody quickly.
Okay, so Spelt Xiao had 324.
Can you cut and paste the name?
Yeah.
Thank you. So we got 2. We're going to go with Neil Braden, Speltja. I don't know how that's pronounced or spelt, but that one. And 1 other. And then it's over to the Iris Dynamics stream, who's very kindly standing in for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And my pleasure. Look, it's the first time I've streamed, so I'm expecting I'm hoping that it works.
Okay.
No pressure.
Sorry, Marcel was close. Sorry, that Marcel's the final one. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully the mods got that. Hopefully they did. If they didn't, they'll ask you again in a second. So with that done, you want to sign off. And by the way, the stream, it's hard for me to get the channel link, but the new stream is live on flight-angels.com. Go there, and then you can open up YouTube and get to the chat and everything else. Over to you, Ben, to hand over.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed our little outing in the beautiful 777. I guess the final thing I want to say is it's only when you spend some time with the guys that actually fly this aeroplane in the real world do you realize the lengths that guys like PMDG have gone to actually make it all work and make it all very accurate. And this goes back to what Matthias was saying earlier on about the complexity thing. When you know how, it's easy, right? So there you go. David, take it away.
There we go, David.
Thank you very much, Ben.